Opening statements start tomorrow in the trial for these two accused of murder. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Phyllis Smith. The trial of two people accused in the murder of a Parkersburg woman 18 months ago is underway. Opening statements are set to begin tomorrow morning in the trial of Kenneth McCoy and Jessica Roberts. They are charged with first-degree murder in the December 2017 death of Penny Jo Curtis. Roberts is also charged with fraudulent use of an access device. He reportedly used a credit card that belonged to the murder victim before she was killed. Her body was found in her South Parkersburg home. The couple was later found and arrested in Illinois. A trial for a man accused in a fatal shooting outside a Parkersburg bar 2 years ago is delayed. Stephen Griffith was indicted for involuntary manslaughter and wanton endangerment with a firearm for the May 2017 death of Chad Hart. He had agreed to plead guilty to a lesser charge of brandishing. However, that agreement was rejected by Judge Waters in March. No new trial date has been set. The West Virginia Senate is set to reconvene later this week for the special legislative session on education. Republican Senate President Mitch Carmichael said Tuesday that he's going to call the chamber back in to vote on a broad-based education proposal Saturday. Carmichael released a draft of the bill last week and asked senators to review the bill so they can take up the legislation Saturday. The measure includes a pay raise for teachers, mental health services for students, and a provision that would withhold pay for teachers if a school is closed because of a strike. Republican Governor Jim Justice has praised the bill, saying it's a bipartisan approach. Senate Democratic Minority Leader Roman Parizio has said he's happy to have common ground on which to move forward. At least 12 people died on Ohio roads during the 4-day 2019 Memorial Day weekend. That's according to preliminary statistics released today by the Ohio State Highway Patrol. There were 18 traffic deaths during Memorial Day weekend last year. The patrol says 3 of this year's deaths were the result of people not wearing a safety belt. Another death was OVI related, and one person was not wearing a helmet. Crashes also killed 2 pedestrians. None of the deaths were in Washington, Athens, or Meigs counties. No statistics were immediately available for West Virginia. So far this year, 387 people have died on Ohio roads this year. That's a 1% increase over the same time last year. West Virginia officials say they believe problems with voter registrations is fixed. Donald Kersey, who is a general counsel for Secretary of State Mac Warner's office, has said dozens of people reported during the 2018 election that they thought they had registered locally, but the state hadn't received their paperwork. Officials at the West Virginia Division of Motor Vehicles said this month that they believe a programming change in January fixed the problem. Acting DMV Commissioner Adam Hawley said in an email that state officials have completed 2 rounds of testing that found no problems. Kersey said he also believes the problem is fixed, but was waiting for a final confirmation. A freestanding liquor store operated by the Belpre Kroger store is expected to be in operation by this fall. The Ohio Division of Liquor Control recently approved Kroger's application to operate a retail liquor shop near its Belpre store on Washington Boulevard. A company news release says Kroger will own and operate the 1,800 square foot store and sell high-proof liquor on consignment. Voters in the precinct approved a measure to allow the store to operate by a more than 2/3 margin last November. Kroger, also by voter approval, has sold beer and wine at its Belpre store for several years. People wanting to go to and from Ritchie County will soon have public transportation to get them there. Since last September, Easy Rider buses have been making limited runs to Simonton Windows in Ellenboro. But through a 1-year federal grant, bus runs will soon be available to 3 towns in Ritchie County. Those new routes are scheduled to begin July 1st.
We'll be going to Ellenboro, Pennsboro, and Harrisville, and we'll have some designated stops, where they can catch the bus and board. Pennsboro, we're looking at the depot, and Harrisville, we're looking at the senior center, possibly do some flag stops through the main section of town.
The Ritchie County routes will be funded separately from the bus system's Wood County routes. That means they are not funded by the Parkersburg-Vienna Transit Levy. Leadership is changing for a popular community organization. Marietta Main Street announced the resignation of its executive director, Sam Tootin, along with the return of a familiar face. Michael Tater talked with Tootin, who says he's grateful for the opportunity.